Financial planning after the death of a spouse is it's complicated and yet crucial at the same time. There's 3 unique planning opportunities that only arise in this situation. I've got that and more coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. Realizing that you need a comprehensive approach to your financial life and work with a CFP that's doing comprehensive financial planning. It's often event-driven. There's a catalyst, there's a spark where all of a sudden you say, I've got a big financial decision to make. How am I going to make this decision? And that's when hopefully you're working with a CFP and they reveal to you an approach that now you need to look at all of your financial life together. These seemingly disconnected parts of your financial life are actually connected, and they're going to help. We've got to analyze those to help you make great decisions. When you're grieving or when you're dealing with the loss of a spouse or even any family member, but certainly a spouse, that's one of those catalysts where often it's, oh gosh, I need some help in making these decisions and even knowing how to make these decisions, what a wise decision would be. Now, we believe financial planning and getting started shouldn't be event-driven. If you don't have a CFP in your life doing comprehensive financial planning, run, don't walk. Go see them right now and get a relationship started, because all of this that I'm going to share with you is born out of a situation where we help businesses with retirement plans as well. And one of the stakeholders, one of the key employees at one of these firms, we've been helping them with their retirement plan. He set up a meeting with one of our financial planners a few years ago. And in that meeting, he said, oh, I've heard really great things and just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit. But I have been diagnosed with cancer and we've been treating it and it's in remission. If it comes back, that's when I'll start working with you guys. And that was the only meeting we had with him. And of course, we saw him a lot as we were at the company helping employees with their 401k. But the cancer came back and it was aggressive. And he passed recently. His spouse is grieving, just awful. It's just awful. And yet financially needs to find a way to start taking some steps forward. Not because, well, you know, you should, but because you have to. You have to make some decisions financially, and you're at a spot where it's hard to, and especially if the spouse that passed was the one that managed the finances, it's even more difficult. So she has reached out, and we had an initial meeting with her, and after that, we're working, a handful of us advisors, we're talking through her situation, their situation, and what are the big financial decisions that need to be made, what appear to be the best decisions, what issues need to be tackled. And I'm going to tell you, as we went through that, even one of our advisors says, gosh, if only they would have started the planning process back then 2 years ago, things would be in a better situation now. Certainly couldn't have prevented what happened with his health, but financially, they'd have been in a better spot. But I digress. As we worked through the 6 areas of their financial life, of her financial life, and some of the big decisions, I thought, yeah, I've never shared this on the Wise Money Show before, but there are 3 unique financial planning, I'm going to say opportunities, but that often sounds like a positive thing, but 3 financial changes or issues or circumstances that occur that are unique when you have just lost your spouse, that you need to be aware of. I want to share those 3 so that you're aware of them and can plan appropriately with your CFP. The first unique financial planning situation when you've lost your spouse is your tax status in the year that your spouse passes away is still a joint tax return. Oftentimes, your tax status deals with what was your situation the last day of the year. So if you were getting married, if you got married in July, then it's not a decision, well, am I going to file single or joint? Well, nope. Are you married on December 31st? If so, it's a joint return. And you can choose to married, file, and separately, that's fine, but what was your status on December 31st? Same with getting divorced, right? If the marriage was dissolved in July, that means you're single on July 31st. It's a single return. You can't file a joint return. But in the year that your spouse passes away, that's the last year that you get to file jointly. Even if they pass away on January 2nd, you can file a joint tax return that year. The exception is if you've got minor children at home, then you can file as a qualifying widower and you get a couple of years. But in this situation, they were in their early 60s, early to mid 60s. And so one unique tax planning situation in this year is here we are early August, and we're aware that his income only lasted the first part of the year, and she's got some time off and whatnot and has taken some grieving time and all that. But this tax year, they're going to file a joint tax return. Why does that matter? Well, when you take a look here at the tax brackets, the tax rates are the same. It's still 10, 12, 22%. Those rates are the same, but the brackets are very different between a single filer and married filing jointly. And therefore, if their income together is going to be lower this year because it was just a partial year of income for both of them, but the brackets are going to be bigger, is this a time period where you would invite some income into this tax year so that you can pay income at these lower rates before next year, 2025, when there's no choice? You'll be filing a single return, the tax rates will be the same, but the brackets will be much smaller. I don't know. It depends. In this situation, we're going to be recommending doing a Roth conversion. In many instances like this, you do that as well. It's not something that you're excited about. It's an awful, awful circumstance that you find yourself in. And yet, being aware of the tax brackets and whether a Roth conversion may make sense, or maybe there's something else that you need to consider during this unique time period, but know that that's one of the unique things in the year that you lose a spouse, you're filing a joint tax return for the last time. Second unique financial circumstance when your spouse passes away is COBRA and how long that continuation of benefits occurs. COBRA, if you're not familiar, is where if you had health insurance through your spouse's employer, COBRA means, well, you can continue that coverage even if your spouse is no longer there, right? So oftentimes when you think continuing that health insurance coverage, you're thinking about it that it's going to last 18 months. And that's normally the case when someone retires or when someone terminates their employment. When you leave employment from one company and go to another, or you go to retirement, you get COBRA for about 18 months. Not so when there's when that separation is due to death. Then you've got 36 months. It's 3 years. And therefore, that gives you a lot more flexibility or choice when it comes to what are you going to do with your health insurance. By the way, you also get 36 months if there's a divorce. And so, but there's only a few circumstances where you could have COBRA for 36 months. The vast majority of times, it's only available for 18 months. So therefore, if you're aware of this or thinking about it, in this situation, I said she's in her early 60s. Medicare, she's not going to be eligible for Medicare for about 3 years. And therefore, we've got to take a look and say, well, could she be eligible for health insurance through her own employer? If so, what's the cost? What does COBRA cost? Could she get health insurance through Medicare.gov and actually get some advanced premium tax credits and actually have it be cheaper? But just know, as we evaluate all of that, COBRA is an option for 36 months. So that is also unique when you lose a spouse. And then the third unique financial planning, again, opportunity or issue or situation when you lose a spouse is that you are able to draw a Social Security survivor benefit starting at age 60 as opposed to waiting until 62 and beyond. You can actually draw it at age 60, and further, you are still grandfathered into one of the claiming strategies, the advanced Social Security claiming strategies called restricted application. The rest of us, if you haven't lost a spouse, you are eligible to draw your own Social Security at age 62. Somewhere between 62 and 70 is when you can turn it on. We've done lots of content on this. Social Security is far more complicated than it seems. You've got to be aware of, are you still working, and so on. And obviously, the earlier you draw, you get a reduced benefit and so on. But that's if you're drawing your own. And you might say, well, I don't want to draw my own. I'm going to draw half of my spouse's. Well, same thing. You can't draw half of your spouse's until they start drawing. right? And until you're in between age 62 and 70. If your spouse, and you needed to have been married for a certain period of time, if you're eligible for survivor benefits and your spouse has passed away, you can actually claim those survivor benefits at age 60. And you don't get half of your spouse's, you get theirs or yours, whichever's higher, right? But the survivor option, you can actually draw starting at age 60. Keep in mind that the same rules apply. Are you still working? Oh, you are? Well, you're drawing Social Security before your full retirement age. So if you earn more than a certain amount, then some of your Social Security is going to be penalized, or you'll have some of your Social Security penalized. So even though you are age 60 and eligible to draw survivor Social Security, you may still want to delay so that there's less reduction in that Social Security because you're so young, but also because you might be working. Keep in mind also that this restricted application that I mentioned, that's an option as well, where you could draw a restricted application to just draw based off of your spouse's earning record and have it not be deemed that you're going to draw the higher of the two. The key point there is by filing a restricted application to ignore your own Social Security and just file for your spouse's, it allows yours to continue to grow approximately 8% per year. And then if that is such that your own Social Security then eventually grows to be higher than your survivor benefit, then when at a future time, when that occurs, you can flip and say, okay, instead of drawing the survivor benefit, I'm going to flip over to my own because now my own is higher than my survivor Social Security. Obviously, that's very complicated. I said a moment ago, Social Security is far more complicated than many people realize. But there again, work with your certified financial planner. This is one of the unique financial planning, again, opportunities or issues or situations when you've lost a spouse that you're going to need their guidance on, their wisdom, and assistance with. Those are three of the main differences, unique things that come up, unique financial planning issues that come up when you've lost a spouse. So work with your certified financial planner. In this awful situation, your financial life is completely flipped upside down. Lots of big decisions need to be made. You need to be working with the CFP that's looking at all 6 areas of your financial life. So work with your CFP on that. If you don't have a CFP on your team, you can contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K, wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go on and take your next wise step in your financial life.